Jai Hind, everyone. Let's start the call, and subsequently people can join in. There's no problem. So this is a call. Welcome, everyone. This is a call on Kang Yatse 2, Kang Yatse 1, and Twin Climb. So if you have and Markha Valley. So if you have any questions regarding any of these climbs, this is the place and forum to ask whatever questions you have. Right. Uh, we'll start first with Markha Valley, then Kang Yatse 2 and Kang Yatse 1, and then Twin Climb. Right. So it's a combined call because the route is all same. Right. Mm, how we have structured the call is first we'll go through the complete itinerary and we'll tell you how each one is different, each climb, and then the gear requirements and what to expect in the climbs, what is peculiar of the climb. And obviously, as we keep saying that in case you have any questions in between, also don't hold it to yourself. Feel free to ask. There's no question which is out of syllabus or anything which is we'll not be able to answer. In case there is something like that, definitely we'll come back to you on this, right? So Kang Yatse 1 and 2 and Markha Valley, we start our batches in July. And the season is also like that, unlike July, wherein it's monsoon time in North India, Ladakh, that way is better, right? There are no rains, only snowfall and all is going to be there. And it's still, you can climb it there from July onwards, right? So July, August, September, October is the season for Markha Valley, Kang Yatse 2, 1, and the twin climbs, right? Considering that we all at sea level, so flying to Leh uh, takes a toll on the body because the altitude gain is suddenly high, right? From sea level, we go to an altitude which is 3,300 odd meters. So everyone is expected or is bound to have headache and altitude symptoms. So please be prepared accordingly. Before the start of the climb, 1 2 days prior, drink lots of water, take good amount of rest, and if big if time permits, it's always advisable to reach a day or two prior than the scheduled arrival. So day one, uh, if you're supposed to reach there, in case you can afford to have work from home or work from there, it's always advisable to let your body acclimatize. Otherwise, our schedule also allows good amount of acclimatization. Say even if you reach on day one, it's fine, right? Day one, once you reach Leh, we have an airport pickup. Then we take you to the hotel. First half of the day is generally, relaxing, drinking good amount of water, soup or liquids, and not moving around too much, except in the hotel, in the lobby, in that area. And in the evening after lunch, we do a gear check. And the team leader, whosoever is there, is going to check thoroughly whatever is required for the climb, and anything which is found lacking, you can rent it out, right? Day two and day one evening, we take a light walk to the neighbor market, come back, early sleep, good amount of sleep, rest, and then next morning we start with the acclimatization. So morning, it's been a ritual. We go and climb the Shanti Stupa, which is at a good altitude. We come down, go to the market, whatever we have realized that is required for rental and all, we finish it off, last minute shopping. We come back, and after that, we go up to another place called Leh Palace, and there's a monastery up there. So the aim is that you reach an altitude close to 3700 on day two. Generally, we've been able to do that. All our climbs earlier have been planned it that way, that you reach that altitude. You come back, finish off your packing for the day, and next day morning, uh, we again assemble, and then we start our drive to a place called Skew. Now, from 3300, we drive up to Skew, which is 3550. If the road condition is good, we drive up to Sara, which is 3600 meters. But then if there's been some rockfall or the road is closed, then we go till Skew and then we trek up to Sara. Once you reach Sara, that's a 3600-meter altitude, and you have already acclimatized a day prior to 3700. So the body should be generally fine. And then we again take good amount of rest. Next day, wake up, and day four we go from Sara to Markha Valley, which is 3750 meters. It's a very gradual climb, and every day we keep climbing. It's a bit longer than the normal treks we do, but then yeah, it's kind of a beautiful place to be. So once you reach Markha, again we settle down. In by the time we reach, the tents are pitched. Otherwise, the team members, they learn how to pitch tents and help the rest of the team there. In Markha, we also give you your climbing boots so that you can check the sizes, make sure these are right. We do a bit amount of walking around so that you get used to those kind of shoes which we provide, and the weight and all, you get used to it. Day 5, we go from Markha to Thojungse, which is 4,300 meters. Since you're crossing 4,000 meters, it's okay to have a slight headache. Thojungse is a very open area, and then again, once we reach, we go for acclimatization. We do the same in Markha also. We go to the nearby monastery, and then we come back. And Thojungse, again, we climb up from 4,300 to about 4,500 odd meters, come back. Day 6, we go from Thojungse to base camp. So base camp is the place wherein the Markha Valley trek reaches the highest altitude. Base camp for Kang Yatse 2 is 5,100 meters. So the people who are doing only the Markha Valley trek reach the base camp, and then that's the highest altitude they go to. Next day, day 7 is the training day, wherein we revise how to wear climbing boots, how to wear crampons, how to do rope up, what things to be taken care of once you are walking with rope up, how to use an ice axe, how to hold it. So all those basics which you are supposed to be knowing are refreshed in that climb. And in that training day, we do a good amount of height gain, come back. Day 8, whole day again training, right? And then we go for the no, sorry, day 7, after the training, same night we go for the summit push. Day 8, we summit and we come back. Now, Kang Yatse 2 of late has become increasingly difficult, which was not the case once we started climbing Kang Yatse 2 about 3 years back. So every year it's going to be getting more and more difficult. And reason for that is that, the global warming, the effects are very visible once you are on the climb, wherein less amount of snow, more crevasses opening up, which means the scheduled and the planned route which is there, that gets deviated because of a lot of crevasses opening up, and we have to go a lot of zigzags. So the endurance wise, you need to be very well prepared. From 5,100 of base camp, you go to an altitude which is 6,250 the summit. So you can understand, 1,100 meters gain, and that kind of altitude takes quite a toll. So you need to prepare very well as regards the endurance is concerned, right? So take care of that. Once you do the summit on day 8, we come back. Day 9, all those people who are doing base camp and Kang Yatse 2, they return back to the roadhead, which is Chokdo by the Kongmarolo Pass. And day 10, we depart. Day 11 is kept as buffer for all those people. If the day is used, then it's fine. In case it's not used, then day 10 is the final day, and day 11 you can fly back. Right. So that was regarding Markha Valley Trek and Kang Yatse 2. Coming on to Kang Yatse 1, right? So all those people who are doing Kang Yatse 1, in order to acclimatize well, it is expected you go to a place called Crampon Point and then you come back. But you've got to make sure that you don't get so tired that Kang Yatse 1 becomes a difficulty. So we'll be able to guide you, but then you also have to assess how your body is doing, and based on that you do your push. So in those cases when people are doing Kang Yatse 2 and 1, they do the KY2 summit, come back to base camp, and then next day is the rest day for that. And subsequently, day 10, after the rest day of doing Kang Yatse 2, day 10 you move to camp 1, and day 11 you go from camp 1 to camp 2. Day 12 is summit of Kang Yatse 1. So day 11, the day you reach Kang Yatse 2, camp 2, Kang Yatse 1, camp 2, you start at this night, reach day 12 on the summit and return to base camp. Day 13, you fall back via Kongmarlo Pass to Leh. Day 14, 15 is buffer, and day 16, you fly out. So that's regards Kang Yatse 1 and 2 and Kang Yatse 2, right? Now, major decisions which one needs to take care before signing up for or deciding for Kang Yatse 1 and 2 is that if you feel your endurance is good, Kang Yatse 2 is the one for you. If you think you have an exposure of technical training and endurance is not good, then you do only the Kang Yatse 1, because endurance wise Kang Yatse 1 is less challenging but more technical. In case you think you have both the endurance and the technical skills, then you can do both Kang Yatse 2 and 1. So this is kind of a thumb rule which follow that, if you have already experienced 6,000 meters, then uh, you can do both. But then in case you feel you will get too exhausted after doing Kang Yatse 2, then you can do only the Kang Yatse 1 part. And if you think you have done both endurance as well as technical skills, then you do both, right? We teach you the rope skills and Jumar skills once we are at base camp, but we need to understand it's only for a short duration, 1 or 2 days, and may or may not be enough depending on how easily and how fast you grasp the thing. So that needs to be taken care of. Otherwise, we are there to guide you in case you have any doubts regarding the climb or the training part, right? Mm. So this is as regards itinerary. Feel free to ask if you have any questions. Kang Yatse 1 and 2, we have only 3 batches. 4th August, which Satya is leading. 16th August, Bharat is leading. And 6th of September, which I am leading, right? So this is in general a plan for 3 climbs which we have for Kang Yatse 1, 2 and Markha Valley. Apart from that, we have, if Kang Yatse 2 is the only thing which you plan to do, then we have patches right from July. So it's for you to decide what works for you based on your leave and other availability of commitments. So in case you have any questions about itinerary, how to select and all, we can ask now.
Romil, August 2nd, Elbrus, both of you are there, no? There's no change in that, I suppose.
Yes, 2nd August as well as before that July, both Bharat and me are going to be there. Elbrus.
But 10th
As
August,
of now.
you have another batch
Yes.
for Elbrus?
Yes, 10th August we have another batch for Elbrus.
That Bharat is not coming.
That as of now, plans are there that Bharat will also be there.
Mm-hmm. Then how can you come for this Kang Yatse 1 and 2 on 16th? Bharat?
We can come back, sir. So what happens? See, anybody who's doing Kang Yatse 1 and 2, you don't need any help by the time you reach base camp. In fact, only the summit push is the time wherein you need a guide or a team leader as such. So initial 1-2 days you skip, and then the team leader joins on day 3 or day 4.
Okay.
Because day 1, day 2 as such you're in lay acclimatizing.
Yeah.
And since we are already climbed Elbrus, so you're already acclimatized to a higher altitude.
Okay.
So that is the plan. Last year also we did exactly the same.
Mm-hmm. Any specific reason, Romil, for both of you to be there on Elbrus trip? Generally, one of you will be there, no?
No, what has happened, sir? Off late, we are getting a good number of people on Elbrus. So it's always good to have your team, people you can rely, rather than the people who are the locals there, because the culture there is unlike India or Asian or African countries. Like, because the locals there, they are very, very particular that, if there are 10 people of the team, even if one people is just falling behind, they don't push. There's no funda of pushing there. If you are behind, then you please go back and come next year. So they're very clear on that. They don't compromise. In our case, we understand that, it's possible that maybe it's not your day. You need a bit of push. So that way we, Bharat and me both are there on the climb.
Okay, and Romil, Shobha here. So basically for Kang Yatse 2, how much technical skills are required? I mean, what all will be required, and if there is any prep we should do ahead of time?
Good question, ma'am. So Kang Yatse 2, our requirement is that you should have done at least one expedition, which is 5,000 meters. So if you've done EBC and all, we don't count it because it's a trek. If you've done an expedition, something like a friendship peak, then you already have experience with crampons, boots, harness, ice axe. So these are the things which are required for Kang Yatse 2. So we don't expect you to use Jumar there because there's no requirement there. There's no no Jumar, no rappelling. Only thing we expect you to know is that you should know how to wear a harness, how to do a rope up, and how to wear your crampons and all. You've used it earlier basically. So if you have not used it, I don't think it's the right climb for you. So that's only the technical part which is there, and then lots of endurance.
Okay, I think so. In particularly in my case, I've done only Kilimanjaro, which is 5,000. We have done Kota Kinabalu and the torque. So harness is done, but crampons no. So what do you suggest?
I'll suggest you need to do something which is which requires use of crampons and all, because otherwise it's going to be very challenging. So something like a friendship peak is definitely good, because uh, you know though we teach you all these things, but those are more on the revision side, right? Expecting that you have used them earlier. So if you have not used this, then I would strongly recommend you go for Friendship Peak. Learn all these things. Where in Friendship Peak we teach all these things: how to wear crampons, how to walk, what are the different types of walking in mountains. If the slope is 70 degrees, how do you walk? So all these things are taught. You have certain experience, and then only it's advisable to climb.
Okay. And how about if you can do one of the trainings somewhere in Bangalore or Delhi? Where I think there are quite a few trainings that you're doing, right?
Yeah, so those are rope works. There's no crampons, or because crampons and all, you need snow to be there. So in Bangalore and Delhi as well as in Hyderabad, we are only teaching the skills which are required for Kang Yatse 1. Kang Yatse 2 requires use of crampons and climbing boots, which unfortunately we are unable to conduct, in considering that the kind of conditions which are here.
Okay.
Yeah, Romil sir, Sandeep this side. Let me put this question. So, considering that myself, Prateek, have been to Kang Yatse last year, we've reached somewhere post the crampon point. We have reached somewhere close to 5,700 meters, and we had to return due to snowstorms, something of that sort. So
Correct.
now we have mentally prepared ourselves to aim for both. But considering that you know us a lot better, what do you suggest as going for both of them?
See, I have seen you on Friendship Peak, and I was pretty satisfied, right? Unfortunately, we
Mhm.
couldn't connect
Correct.
on Kangetsu 2 because of reasons beyond our
Yeah.
control,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So, having said that, if your training is going fine, endurance wise, Kangyatse 2 should not be a problem, right?
Mm-hmm.
Kangyatse 1, there's no endurance, there's only the technical part. So, I would
Mm-hmm.
strongly recommend, since you are based in Hyderabad, you can go through the training which happens on the weekend,
Mm-hmm.
Sundays, on rope work and Jumar. See, Kangyatse 1, as I said, it's only rope and Jumar, which is different, right?
Okay.
How to use a Jumar to climb up and how to use a descender to descend. These two things you have not done earlier. However, you have used crampons extensively on Friendship Peak, as well as the climbing boots, right? So
Yes. Yes.
that you should be comfortable. And even though it will be some time since you've used it last, but once we refresh it, you'll be easily able to pick it up, right? You will have that muscle memory.
Yes.
So Kangyatse 2 should not be a problem. Kangyatse 1, as I mentioned, if you undergo the technical training part in Hyderabad, so I think you'll get more confidence and you should be able to do it. And then
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
have time to prepare till August, September, whenever this is there. So focus more on endurance, and I'm sure it should be doable.
Perfect. Yeah, I've done the Trail to Summit workshop in Hyderabad, sir. So that's done. So good experience there on rappelling and jumaring. So worth completing that. But yeah, thanks for the guidance on that.
Yeah, so that will be the only thing which will be new to you. And if you get hands on those things and you are comfortable using, ropes, jumar, and harness, then I think it's done. And then you don't have to worry much. Only focus on the endurance part, because once you do Kangyatse 2, obviously, the body gets tired, for us also. So
Yeah.
it has to recover well to again be ready for the next day climb to Kangyatse 1, Camp 1, and then Camp 2. So it's more on endurance you have to train. And yeah, the more you train on the technical skills, it will be obviously better.
Perfect. Thank you so much, sir.
Welcome, Sandeep. Prateek, how will you manage in Mau or Indore? Sorry.
I guess I'll go Hyderabad once.
I think yeah, that's the only option. Because otherwise in Indore, or you check out, there might be other people doing certain things, some rock climbing club and all, like certain places they have, like Bombay and all, they would have. So if you get lucky with that, so I think that will be great.
I'm not sure if I would be able to find that in Indore, but maybe Mumbai or Hyderabad once.
See, if you don't find it, then let me know. What we'll do is the day you're going to Hyderabad, we'll organize another day for you so that you get more time to do it since you're traveling that far. We can have the one more day of training to be done. Or if you are in Delhi NCR again, we can plan that way.
I'll reach out to you, sir.
Done, Priti. All the best.
Sir, I had one question. Where does it, get tricky when you're climbing KY1? After Camp 1 to
Tricky means what?
technical, let's say.
Campan. The moment you leave Camp 1, the rope is going to start, and that rope goes from Camp 1 to Camp 2 and Camp 2 to summit and back. So if you are thorough with the rope work, then you don't have to worry at all. Nothing can go wrong. It's only see, the moment you start using Jumar, not just for Kang Yatse one, till Everest, nobody can do anything to you. You just have to be thorough with that, and then all your mountaineering is sorted out. So that thing is very important to learn, and learn it well, because first time if you get it right, then your life becomes super easy.
Okay.
So
So,
Camp 1 onwards, the rope is going to start, and then it's all technical, wherein you have to use your Jumar. Initially, it's a bit difficult to get it, but then first you do it for 1 hour, and then you get a hang of it, and then life becomes very easy.
okay. So also there's limited content on KY1 on YouTube. Do you have any clips by chance?
Oh yeah, we have photo dump of the previous climbs which we have done. We'll share it with you, definitely.
Okay, cool.
Anyone else wants to ask anything?
And these classes that you have in Bangalore, Hyderabad, how frequently are they? I've seen some videos coming up, but not sure the schedule.
So, ma'am, we've been having 1 or 2 batches every month, which means 1 or 2 Sundays. However, after I think April is the last one we'll be having, because then summers and all start. But yeah, as I mentioned to Prateek as well, that if you're traveling, or if you want us to conduct more classes, we are more than happy, because if the people who join us for the climbs are well trained, our life becomes very easier, and it gives a lot of confidence to us for the team members who are joining. So the main reason for us to have all these training sessions are just to make sure that you are better equipped once you're coming for the climb, and the summit rates and the success is much more.
So Romil sir,
Okay, so I coordinate with you when I come over to India.
Yeah, anytime, sure.
so Romil sir, just one question. What level of endurance is expected for KY2? I mean, 3 hours continuous running, 4 hours continuous running. What do you suggest?
See, Sumesh, it's very difficult to quantify that 3 hours of continuous running, because frankly speaking, all the climbers who we have seen and have done Kang Yatse to summit, none of them would be able to run for 3 hours continuously. If you are able to do it, obviously it's good. There have been a lot of people who just cannot run because of some knee issue or some issues, but still they've been able to climb, right? So
Mm.
for me, it's not easy to tell that if you run for this much time, or at that pace, it'll be good. Just that what we can say is that if your summit push starting at 11 o'clock at night, and you can walk till next day evening 4 and 5, you're not supposed to run. Obviously, that how the pace is in the mountains, very, very slow. But then you don't have to give up, so uh, it's important that you keep your aerobic system very strong, which I know yours is. It's just that you have to keep going, and take on the adversity that weather is not in favor, your crampons are not fitting well, you're having a headache, you're not able to eat, but still you keep pushing, right? So it's more of a mental thing which comes up with a baseline of fitness. So fitness obviously needs to be high. You've got to be training let's say about 5 to 6 days a week regularly, which as it is you're doing. So fitness wise should not be much of a challenge.
Thank you, sir.
I'm sorry, Sumesh, but then I don't have an answer specific that you run for this much and then the summit is guaranteed or not, because it doesn't happen that way.
Understood. I mean, I'm just trying to understand that what type of training we can introduce more in terms of for introduce. I think night running or some sort of that running which could challenge you mentally would definitely will be an added advantage for us.
Yeah, so it's basically doing something which you're not comfortable doing if you keep doing it, like in marathons and all. So obviously you're pushing, because those situations are going to be there once you're doing the climb, right? So similarly you have to train it that way.
Sure. Thank you.
Anything else anyone wants to ask on this?
Romil sir,
Okay,
one
now,
last thing.
yeah, please.
I apologize. So you are heading the 3rd September batch. Is my understanding correct?
6 September.
6th September. Okay. Okay. Perfect. Okay.
So we
Thank you.
have a batch on 4th August, which Satya is leading. I'm sure
Uh-huh.
everybody knows Satya, world
Uh-huh.
record holder and all. 16th
Mhm.
August, Bharat is leading. 6th September, I am leading.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you, sir.
Welcome, Sandeep, anytime. Right, coming on to gears now. So there's nothing specific which is required as regards gear. What we recommend is, since you're coming for a 6,000-meter peak, which means you have already climbed earlier and you have tested the waters, right? That you want to continue climbing and all. That way, it helps if you have your own personal gear. I know it's very expensive, but yeah, it definitely helps, because if you have your set of harness, jumar and all, then it's advisable. And similarly the climbing boots. So though we provide, all those who have climbed with us understand that we provide your harness, jumar, crampons, climbing boots, sleeping bag, mattress, ice axe, helmet, and tents, etc., whatever. But yeah, in case you have yours, you can get them. I think it will help. Nevertheless, we provide it, and we make sure you train adequately at, as I was mentioned, at Markha, Thochungse and all, so that you get used to it. The only difference between gear is that for Markha Valley trek, it's only the personal clothing you need. You don't need climbing boots or anything. Only the trekking shoes would work. All those who are doing Kang Yatse too, they'll require same clothing like trekking. Only thing is that your summit jacket and all have to be heavy duty ones. Your gloves have to be double layer, merino wool liner, as well as thick gloves outside. Apart from that, you need what we will provide you is that, again, as I mentioned, crampons, boots, and gaiters, harness, your uh, this thing, rope for roping up and all. So this is for Kangyatse 2, and helmet and ice axe. How Kangyatse 1 varies is that you need to also have your set of Jumar, which means your carabiner, Jumar, descender, and harness, which is there extra, right? And all these we provide. So this is as regards gear is concerned. Apart from that, your things like your trekking poles, your 2 liters of water bottle, as well as a thermos, and all. You can go through the website. Everything is mentioned there, right? So that's in general about the gear. Headlight and all is all standard, right? Since you're coming for a 6,000 meters, I'm sure all of you have used it earlier, or you would know that what all is needed. Mm. Coming on to Leh, as I mentioned earlier, try to come day early, or in case it allows you officially, then you come a few days in advance, spend some time, and acclimatize well, right? And then day one onwards, the itinerary starts the way it is scheduled. Mm. What else? Rachit, anything which we have missed out, which you think we should add?
No, sir, I think all is fine.
Guys, you want to ask anything, please feel free.
Yeah, Romil sir, I think I got a different question from Shravan, who will also join the KY2 batch. Is that what should a training plan look like? I know it differs from person to person and what they are aiming for, but a general training plan, how would it look like?
See, most important is you should have consistency. It should not be, you're training for 10 days rigorously and then you stop and then come back after 10 days.
I wanted to inquire about black tea expedition. So, ও reply করেছিল ভাই বলেছে
Guys, I'll
স্বাধীন
request if we can keep on mute.
তাকে এটাকে আর ফার্দার লেখিনি আজকে দেখি একটা এই করেছে
Okay, right. So, as regards training, first is consistency, right? So, if you can train 6 days a week from now on, I'm sure you can definitely do it. There's nothing to worry. What a typical 6-day plan would look like is that you should have a right mix of different kinds of training, which means generally on the mountains, once you're coming, it's the aerobic system of the body which you're using. So 80% of the training, let's say 5 days out of 6, you should be in your easy to moderate kind of an effort. One day can be, extra effort, which we call zone 4. Otherwise, zone 2 is kind of fine. Don't push too much, but then duration should be more, right? That's what happens on the big summit pushes, that, you are not going very fast, but then slowly you are building up. Training would focus mostly on cardio. They will focus mostly on, running, cycling, swimming, or a mix of two, which means, once you've been doing it for some time, then you can have 1 hour of cycling, 1 hour of running, brick workouts, which we generally call. Then you can have cycling, running, swimming, half hour, or something like that. Whatever time you have, try to add variety, focus on strength as well as cardio. These are the major things which you have to do. Running, if you're doing, and if you think, that's your thing, then running can have again different varieties. Sometimes you can have an easy run, sometimes you can have an interval, sometimes hill training. The more variety to add, different set of muscles they get utilized, and your training becomes better, right? Since you're signing up for Kang Yatse 2, summit push is going to be at night, so make sure your body is trained for that body clock of training at night, with backpack, with trekking boots, and then eating something to see how your body responds to different kind of food. And as we say, don't try anything new on the summit night. So make sure that you try the food which you're using for the training time at night, and then continue that for the summit push as well. So this is in general. Cycling, again, similar things. You can have someday interval, sometimes easy cycling, sometimes fast, sometimes mix of 5 minutes fast, 5 minutes slow. So more variety you have, the better the body is going to respond to different kind of outcomes for the training.
Perfect. This is super helpful, sir.
Thanks, Sandeep. Hope it made some sense.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, anything else anyone wants to know? See, Kang Yatse 1 and 2 is a beautiful climb, right? It really tests you. So all those people who are planning to climb 7,000, this is a must do kind of a training, because once you come back from Kang Yatse 2, I'm 100% sure you would feel you will not be able to get up the next day, leave alone climbing Kang Yatse 1. But that's where the mind comes in, right? The mental strength, wherein you're totally spent up, but then again, you trust in the process and get up and start going, and then you finish it off. So we keep doing it, we keep seeing with different batches. So that's what happen once you subsequently you plan a 7,000-meter climb, that you would feel you're totally done, but then you have to go for summit push or summit camp that way. So anyone who plans to climb big in future, I would strongly recommend that. Right, so that's all what I had to share. Feel free to ask anything. You have our numbers. We'll be happy to guide you. Having led it multiple times earlier, we would highly recommend, as I said earlier, and we are more than happy to answer any of your doubts, because it's better to ask rather than keeping it to yourself, right? Any last questions?
Sir, I had one. Is there a
Yeah, Prateek.
particular reason that we don't have any advanced base camp for KY2?
Yeah, that's a very good question, and many times people ask us, and I'll tell you why we don't have it, right? First of all, beat Everest or beat any other climb, like so you try and summit from a lower altitude rather than going up, because once I come to, let's say, 5,500 meters, that time what will happen is my body is not used to higher altitude, and it will not, the higher we go, the more difficult it becomes for mm, my body to eat well, for resting well, for sleeping well, right? So if I have a headache constantly, once I reach that advanced base camp, then my summit chances would go down. So initially we used to have batches wherein we used to have advanced base camp, but we realized that it was becoming counterproductive. It was not helping. One, because they were not the team was not able to sleep, they were not able to rest well, the resources were limited, they had to carry all the food from below, and there's no water. And we all understand that as we climb higher, we need more water to drink, or itna niche se le jana, it was not becoming feasible. So that was the major challenge. And since it was more altitude, wind zyada hai, thand zyada hai, rest वगैरह was also getting compromised. So that's why we started the summit push from uh, 5,100 meters. And uh, if you see Everest also, why don't we have camp 5 after camp 4? Because of the same reason. Camp 4 का जो altitude है, जो stay का location है, that is conducive, even if it is 8,000 meters, rather than having a 8,500 में या 400 में camp लगा के, because camp site इतना available नहीं है जगह रहने के लिए, and वहाँ पे facilities available नहीं है. So that's why, and the distance is also achievable, right? Because we saw the results, 5,100 से भी people were able to summit, all those who had trained some decent amount, right? So that all these reasons combined, and that's how we decided that this should be the place for the summit camp rather than the advanced base camp.
Okay.
But I'm
Last
glad you
questions.
asked this, because people
Yeah.
have this quite a time they have this question.
Okay. Sir, I had one last question. Is there a preferable or a specific weather window that we should be choosing while we are attempting, let's say, KY1 and 2 both?
See, Pratik, how I wish we had something in this, but then unfortunately, though we check all the weather conditions and all before, but weather is something nobody's been able to crack it well. Yeah, weather predictions and all are there, but as we say that these are just predictions. Had that been the case, so nobody would have gone ahead with and some incidents wouldn't have happened. So we try and go for the times wherein the weather is best. So that's why we chose August and September for Kang Yatse 1 and 2, because July onwards Kang Yatse 1 is not favorable. Kang Yatse 2 we've been able to do multiple times, but Kang Yatse 1 नहीं होता. Kang Yatse 1 summit success has been only in August and September. So from our side, we choose the weather window which is more conducive for the summits, and that's why we have only 3 batches. But for Kang Yatse 2 we have batches till October and maybe November as well, right? Only for the reason that these are the best times. Also in best times things go wrong, you can't help it,
Right,
not
sir.
just for this, for Everest also we have seen that पूरे साल में you get only 2 to 3 days to climb, even though you have the best of technology, you pay hefty amounts for the weather updates, but fact remains the same. So we try and get the best weather updates, but yeah, things do go wrong at times, like you faced it last year, so you understand it so well.
Right, sir.
Anything else anyone wants to know? Right? Right then, guys, I think if there are no more questions, we'll call it off. Thank you so much for your time. Have a great weekend. Enjoy, and feel free to ask in case there are any questions whatsoever.
Sure, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Bye, guys. All the best. Train
Thank
well.
you. Bye.
Welcome.